So this presentation is about identifying main ideas, which is something that you do as you read. So, what is a main idea? Well, the main idea is the central idea of a text. It's the most important information. It's the writer's main point, the writer's message. It's what the rest of the paragraph or what the rest of the article is about. All of the other details, all of the other examples, they support this idea. So it's the most important information. There are two different types of main ideas that we're going to be focusing on in RAS2. The first type, which this video is focusing on, is about paragraphs. So the main idea in a paragraph is called a topic sentence. You might know that from writing class. There are also the main ideas of longer articles or essays. The main idea of a longer article or an essay is called the thesis statement. And we'll practice looking for those as well at a later date. So where is the main idea in a text? Well, if it's a long text like an essay, then we're looking for a thesis statement, and the thesis statement is usually the last sentence of the introduction. It is often repeated in the conclusion. So if you have an essay, reading the introduction and comparing it with the conclusion can help you find the thesis statement. If you're looking at individual paragraphs, then a lot of the time the main idea is the first sentence of the paragraph, but it's not always. It can actually be anywhere. It could be the first sentence, in the middle, at the end. So how do we find the main idea of a body paragraph? Well, we need to think about the information that we are being provided with. We need to think about the supporting details and think, what are they supporting? How do the pieces of information relate to each other in the paragraph? Another thing that we can do is that we can use a couple of questions to help us find the main idea. And that's what we're going to be doing in this video today. So the questions that we're going to use to help us find the main idea are, firstly, what is the paragraph about? So what is the topic? If you can find the topic, then you are well on your way to finding the main idea. The second question is, what is the writer trying to say about the topic? What is the writer trying to convince us of about the topic? What is the controlling idea? You might have heard of that in writing class when you're looking at topic sentences. So we're going to use those two questions to try and find the main idea. So here we have an example paragraph, and where is the main idea? Is it in the first sentence? Is it in the middle, or is it at the end? Well, this paragraph is about an area called the Icefall on Mount Everest. The Icefall on Mount Everest is a dangerous place. It is a maze of ice towers. Some ice towers are bigger than houses and have deep cracks between them. The ice towers move as the glacier slides slowly down the mountain. Climbers can hear the ice cracking and growling. So where's the main idea? Well, the topic is clearly the icefall on Mount Everest. And what is the writer trying to say about the icefall? Well, the writer's trying to say that it's a dangerous place. It's a maze of towers. Some are as big as houses. They have deep cracks. They move. They make cracking and growling sounds. So the idea is that it's a dangerous place on Mount Everest. So that first sentence there is clearly the main idea. So now we have another example paragraph. And in our next example paragraph, where is the main idea? Is it the first sentence? Is it in the middle? Is it at the end? Well, this one is about storm chasers. Storm chasers are people who go to the middle of a storm to take pictures or to record what's happening in a storm. Storm chasers have their cameras ready and are following the storm by sight. The tops of the clouds are flattening out, becoming anvil clouds. Wind is pushing the clouds in a counterclockwise direction. A superstorm is developing. So what's the topic of this paragraph? Well, the topic is clearly a storm, or even a superstorm that's growing. Okay? And what is the writer trying to tell us about this storm or superstorm? Well, the writer is trying to say that it's trying to describe how one begins, how one starts, how one develops. So clearly, our main idea here is actually that the last sentence, a superstorm is developing. You know, first the top of the clouds flatten out. You've got wind that's pushing the clouds round in a counterclockwise direction. You've got the storm chasers who are trying to find their way into the middle of it. So the last sentence there is the main idea. Here we have another example. This one is about fleas. So they're little bugs that suck people's blood. There are lots of kinds of fleas. They all have a favourite host whose blood they suck. Most fleas are able to get a meal from more than one kind of animal. Cat fleas, for example, find humans quite tasty. And human fleas will bite dogs, pigs, and even burrowing owls. So, what's the topic of this paragraph? Well, quite clearly the topic is fleas, those little blood-sucking bugs. But what is the writer trying to say about fleas? Well, I think here the writer is trying to say that fleas have a favourite animal, but they also drink blood from other animals too. So I would say that the best choice for main idea here is probably the third sentence. So the fact that most fleas are able to get a meal from more than one kind of animal. Yeah, because they have their favourite animal, but they also have other animals that they drink from. So they're getting their meal from more than one kind of animal. Okay. So sometimes in a paragraph the main idea is stated at the beginning and then repeated at the end. So you might know this kind of image of a burger from your writing class. You've got the topic sentence, you've got the supporting details, then you've got the concluding sentence at the end. This is how the writing teacher will be teaching you to write your own paragraphs. So we can look for that when we're reading too. And we have an example of one of these kind of paragraphs to read. So here's the example. Walking is an effective way to exercise. Walking 3 to 4 minutes every day is a great way to relax. When walking with a friend, one can talk about the day ahead or share some challenges they are facing. Walking alone allows time to meditate and relieve stress. Also, walking regularly improves my general health. Fitness experts recommend an exercise routine to keep the heart strong. The effects that walking has on health makes it a great way to exercise. Okay, so the topic here is clearly walking. And what is the writer trying to say about walking? Well, the writer is trying to say that it's an effective way to exercise. It's a good way to exercise. And we see that repeated twice, actually, in the paragraph. Once in the first sentence, and then once the same idea is repeated again at the end. The effects that walking has on health makes it a great way to exercise. So it's stated and then repeated in a concluding sentence. So now we have another type of main idea. This is a split main idea. And when we have a split main idea, we're trying to say that one thing is true, however, something else is also true. So we might be trying to present different sides to a topic. So here's an example. Some people like to save their money in bank accounts. These people are very careful and do not take risks. Their money is safe, but it is not earning very much for them. On the other hand, some people like to save their money by investing in things like gold, cars, and real estate. These people are taking more risks with their money, but they are probably going to get bigger rewards. So what's the topic here? The topic is that is about people and how they save their money. And the paragraph, what's the writer telling us about these people? The paragraph is telling us that some people put their money in bank accounts, but the other people invest their money. So we have these two different types of people. So there we have a split main idea. Finally, I'd like to point out that all of our examples have had stated main ideas. So that means you have an actual sentence in the text that tells you what the main idea is. Sometimes in paragraphs, the main idea is implied. That means it's not directly in the paragraph, you just have clues about it. It's not written down actually in the paragraph at all. So we will deal with implied main ideas in another presentation another day. I would like to ask you, if you have any questions about main ideas, to write them down and ask me in class tomorrow. Remember that you can also re-watch this anytime you would like to remind yourself of what main ideas are.